This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I'm just being me in a world that isn't. These are the Union Force bindings for 2022. I've ridden these with a wide variety of boards in a wide variety of conditions and put some time on these. And they're not that different from years past. So it just added to my overall experience with these. To give you a quick summary, these are amazing bindings and they work with a wide variety of boards and riding styles. Union markets these as more of an all-mountain binding in comparison to, let's say, the Falcor and the Union Contact Pro or the Flite Pro. These are more in the family of the Union Atlas and the STR if you want to go cheaper. And I found that they are just such a good binding when it comes to response, shock absorption, and adjustability. They do things that most bindings out there don't, and I find myself recommending these to a lot of readers. In terms of weight, these are light, but not too light, not too heavy. They feel really good when they're mounted on your board. You don't feel like you're adding extra weight, and you don't feel like you're on an ultralight, chattery binding either. Now, in terms of Highback Flex, there's a decent twist for this. There's very little give when you pull back. And if you compare that to, let's say, its more expensive brother, the Union Atlas, it has more twist and a little give going back, actually a decent amount of give. Or you compare it to the STR, about the same amount of twist as this, just a little more give going back. Or you compare it to, let's say, the Falcor, if you're kind of wondering which way you want to go. There's not as much twist and only a touch of give at the very top here. Let's just go through the line. You've got much more twist and much more give with the Contact Pro, and the same with the Flite Pro. And you can rotate the highbacks to eliminate any kind of calf bite, and then you combine that with that easy twist. It works really well, and I like this highback design and flex. Now, when it comes to flex underfoot and buttering, this full-size disc does a pretty good job because they do a lot to minimize overall contact with the board. You're pretty much just dealing with where the full-size disc is, and then the rest is kind of EVA foam, or it's been hollowed out so there's minimal contact. And I find while it's not as buttery as the Union Contact Pro or the Union Falcor with their mini discs and less contact with the board, it's right there with the Union Atlas. This might be a touch less buttery because you're looking at more of a rubbery base plate going on here versus this softer EVA foam. I feel like there's a touch more give in terms of butterability, but both are pretty close. And the STR is just a little bit less than these two guys, just at a much lower price point. Now, when it comes to turn initiation and response, these are right there with the Atlas. I've even gone out, put the Union Atlas on one foot and the Force on the other. They're almost the same. I would say this is just a touch more responsive these days. Because of that soft EVA foam, it's just a little easier to initiate the turn. But once the turn is started, these are just as responsive, if not more. And in some situations, these will be more responsive because they're more damp. They can absorb what's happening underfoot from the board and keep that edge set better. So at higher speeds, in more uneven terrain, this is a little more responsive. But in good groomers, this is a little more responsive. The Falcor is right there with the Union Atlas, maybe a touch more responsive, and the rest are kind of less than. Now, when it comes to shock absorption and dampness, these are really good. They're way up there. They've got this soft EVA foam. It does a really good job, especially at slower speeds. When you get up into higher speeds, the rubber combined with some sort of EVA foam provides an overall ride that's more damp, but maybe not quite as shock absorbent at low speeds. But as you get into moderate speeds, I feel like I like this shock absorption better. The Falcor is kind of like in that same place as the Atlas. It has a harder, more rubbery EVA foam on the bottom, and it provides a little more dampness, maybe a touch more shock absorption at moderate to high speeds. Then when you're looking at the Contact Pro, it's got nice soft shock absorption like this. They're kind of on par. This might be a little more shock absorbent. Talking about the Flite Pro, not as shock absorbent. STR, it's okay, but not as shock absorbent. Now, when it comes to support, keeping your boot supported in the binding, I love this new ankle strap. I feel like it really wraps well. It's this nice balance of being stiff, but not too stiff so it doesn't bite or cause pressure points. I've never felt a pressure point with these. And the toe strap is one of my favorite. Maybe the only one I might like a little bit better is the Flux toe strap, but Flux bindings have zero shock absorption, so that's a deal breaker for me. But these toe straps with the soft rubber on the inside and firm kind of plastic, but with still kind of a soft rubber on the inside here, do a great job at holding onto your boot and not letting go and really pulling it into the heel loop and keeping it locked in there. Then you add the ankle strap around it. It's pretty good boot support. There's still some freedom of movement, but it is a very supportive, good feeling, especially when you're riding off-piste and you need that little bit of extra support around the ankle in uneven terrain. This does a great job. The ratchets, super smooth. I haven't had a single problem with the ratchets in many a year now. They used to be a little too grabby, like 5 years ago now, maybe more, but they fixed that and these are just perfect. You can crank these down as hard as you want and they'll keep cranking, but they always pop loose really easy and they just work really well, even right out of the box. So love the ratchets. Now, when it comes to adjustability, centering your boot in this binding, this is one of the best in the industry because it has an adjustable heel loop and an adjustable gas pedal. So you can slide this in or out, and you can slide this in or out, center your boot on the board and binding perfectly. And that means you can then turn these discs sideways and get really good adjustability. And you can see they have a really big channel here that can work as a mini disc if you want. Maybe if you're trying to set it up a certain way and get more setback on board on a powder day or something like that, you can set it up that way. Or you can set it up full-size disc, and that's great for boards with setback inserts. So they skip one and it's extended out, so it only works with full-size discs. Union Falcors, Contact Pros, they won't work with those, but these will. And you can even slide them when they're in a full-size disc setup. So you really have excellent stance width adjustability, some of the best in the industry. And then you have the rest, the same old toolless adjustability right here to adjust the straps. You have high back rotation, you have a good forward lean setup, all the other stuff that you normally have with every other binding out there in the industry. So very excellent adjustability, some of the best in the business. And overall, for me, the adjustability, the response, the support, the overall feel of this binding is really great. There are some bindings out there in the industry that might do a little better here or there, but none have this consistent performance across all the categories that are important to us. And that's why these are highly recommendable bindings. The only reason I'm not using these as a daily driver is because I like my Atlas a little bit more, and those are better bindings for me. I just love the feel of the Atlas, especially the new Atlas for 2021 and 2022. That design is just exceptional and I'm really enjoying it. But if I didn't have the Atlas, I would have a beautiful life with the Force. And if the price point of the Atlas is too high, these are a great option. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.